Alright, what's good YouTube? Gentleman Thomas here, and recently I set out to create the strongest team that Generation 9 of Pokemon has ever seen. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that a bit easy? We could just pick whichever Pokemon you want and anyone could just copy your team? But here's the thing. I wasn't alone. I was joined by 15 other people trying to do the same thing, and I had a limitation of only 110 points, with each Pokemon having a specific point value. This is my SDL Season 13 Pokemon Draft Reveal. Alright, what's good YouTube? So as you just heard, this is going to be our SDL Season 13 Draft Reveal, and the reason we're calling it Draft Reveal and not an analysis is because it's going to be very relaxed, it's going to be very simple, not too much information is going to be on the screen, and it's basically just going to be me going over the mons I picked, shortly why I picked them. Not really, I'm not going to tell points, I'm not going to tell too much, I'm just going to go over what I feel like is necessary. So first off, let's go over a little bit of the information about the draft itself. So we had the 8th pick out of 16 coaches. So in a snake style draft format, which this was, it goes 1 to 16, then 16 to 1, meaning 8th pick is pretty much the worst placement you can have. It means you're in the middle both ways. So you cannot get one of the good top tier mons, but you can also not really plan a core because so many mons are gonna get taken in between your picks. So yeah, that sucked. This is also going to be a post-home draft, meaning that Hisuian Pokemon and other Pokemon released with Pokemon Home are allowed. We know this because they have been data mined, of course. And lastly, we are allowed 2 Terra Captains with Terra Blast, and we just had to pick them at the end of the draft. Now, Terra Blast being allowed actually does make a difference, because I wouldn't have picked one of my Terra Captains if it hadn't been for Terra Blast. But yeah, I guess with that, we can head into the first mon, because as I mentioned, it's going to be somewhat fast, somewhat relaxed, and yeah. So as I mentioned, I had an 8th pick, and when it came to my pick, I could have picked something like Great Tusk was still there, Dragapult was still there, Urshifu was still there, but I wanted something new, like something we hadn't used before, because, you know, it's the first draft of Generation 9, we want to have fun with it. This might not necessarily go over to be the historic and most insane team, even though the thumbnail does say something else. But yeah, I wanted something new, I wanted something I think could be fun to play with, and first off, I ended up picking Sneasler. So Sneasler is going to be ready to sweep. As you can see here, the reveals are going to be kind of stylized in a Smash format, like Smash reveal format. I had fun trying to create this. I wanted to do something a little bit more than just, you know, the standards, and I like this a lot. So yeah, Sneasler is a fighting poison type with 130 base attack with 120 speed, so it's already incredibly fast and can hit very, very hard, but you do also get access to the Unburden ability. Now, what Unburden does is, whenever we lose our held item, and I do believe that counts as knockoff as well, so if we get knockoff, we get our speed doubled, meaning that this thing will be the fastest thing in the format no matter what at a certain point, because no Switch Swim, Chlorophyll, or anything user is faster than this and after it loses item, meaning that we can actually have very good speed control throughout the entirety of our draft, like the entire league. Now, other than that, this is also a very good Sword Stance setup sweeper. As I mentioned, it gets access to Sword Stance, gets access to a lot of moves. Of course, stab moves and Gunk Shot and Close Combat both being very powerful. Access to coverage with Night Slash. It gets U-Turn, which is actually very interesting because Weavile didn't get that, but this thing does. Even I know it's not a Weavile, like it's another variant or something, but still, it's very interesting this get U-Turn. So Choice Band is also very good on this thing. So I'm very happy about picking this up, and as I mentioned, I could have picked like Dragapult or Urshifu, or even Great Tusk or something like that, but I wanted this because it just seems very, very fun to play with. Now, next up, I wanted to continue a little bit with the new mons, and ended up picking up Ting-Lu, which is unbreakable. Now, don't look too much at the model. I know it's not very good. I had to do this myself. I use a program called Photopea, which is like what's it called, free variant of Photoshop. I can do better than this now. This was the very first attempt I ever did, and I just didn't redo it because I actually lost the file for Sneasler and Ting-Lu. So yeah, I didn't want to do it all over again. So I just went with this. It's not the greatest, but it's fine. Yeah, but Ting-Lu is a dark ground type Pokemon, and there's only one other dark ground type in the entire game, and that is Crocodile. And Crocodile is really, really good, but Crocodile also lost knockoff, meaning that Ting-Lu is by far better, because listen to this. This thing has 155 base HP, 125 defense, and 80 special defense. Now, I know what you're thinking, 80 special defense isn't all that, but its ability Vessel of Ruin lowers the special attack of all other active Pokemon by 25%, meaning that this thing is just fat. Like, if this thing got a healing move of any sort, like, I know it gets rest, right? But if it got any other healing move, like Slack Off or whatever, I think this thing might actually be banned. It is so fat. It also gets access to spikes and stealth rocks, so it's really good hazard setup. It has access to throat chop, earthquake, body pressure, which is very nice. Heavy slam, and I did check it. This thing is actually very heavy. Like, I think it's among top 10 heaviest Pokemon in the game, so that's very interesting. For some other niche stuff, it also gets like Memento, and of course, as I mentioned, it gets rest. Like most mons get rest, so you can run rest or Chesto and whatnot. And then it gets Taunt and Whirlwind. Now, Taunt on a slow mon is like 50-50 whether it's good or not. But Whirlwind on like fat mon like this is very good. That means you can phase out pretty much anything they want to try and set up. So yeah, I'm very happy about Ting Lu as our second choice, and we kind of continue a little bit with the new mons, but after this we do pick a couple mons that we kind of know, and the next up is going to be Volcarona. Volcarona is ready to dance to victory, so it's fun. This is funny. This is actually my first time ever drafting Volcarona. I never drafted it during the Generation 8. I don't really know why. It's not that I dislike Volcarona. It's just fire types are rarely high on my list. And bug typing, of course, is not really a typing that is 100% necessary. So here I just opted to go for Volcarona because I wanted a Psychic killer. Psychic is like the one typing Sneasler has the most difficult time breaking. So with Ting Lu and now Volcarona, we have two very good mons to deal with Psychic types. So I'm very happy about that. Now, as you can see in the bottom left, Volcarona is also our first Terra captain. Now, don't mind the coloring of the Terra. That doesn't mean we have to go Terra Psychic or anything. We could be any Terra type we want to be. But yeah, Volcarona, access to Quiver Dance, very, very good. Access to just Specs, Fire Blast if you want, so Bug Buzz, stuff like that. Like, it's pretty much the same Volcarona from Generation 8. It lost Defog, but realistically, who's gonna run Defog on Volcarona anyway, you know? And with us being able to Terra Volcarona, we can actually get rid of that bug fire typing for something that maybe resist rocks, like a fighting type. I don't know. Like it's something I will mess with each battle, because I can't choose to do something new for each battle if I want to. But yeah, I think Volcarona with Terra Blast and just terrestrializing in general is very, very good. So that is why I picked it up. Now, next up, we picked up Klefki, who's pretty much just here to support the team. Like, Klefki is not gonna win many games, like, at all. It's probably just gonna be here, it's gonna set spikes up, it's gonna screen, it's gonna thunder wave. It doesn't have Toxic anymore. This thing also lost Defog, which is very unfortunate. I would have preferred if this had kept Defog, but it is what it is. But yeah, I did it because I wanted a Steel type. I kind of wanted a Fairy type as well. Even though Klefki is not the best Fairy type, it's kind of still nice to have the typing just as a general thing. But I think as a Steel type, Klefki does fine. As I mentioned, it's a really good screen setter. It's really good, what you call the Thunder Wave. It can trick / switcheroo. If we can hold items, we can, of course, have the Prankster ability, so we have priority on all our status moves and whatnot. Other than that, it still runs like the same moves like Foul Play, Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, Play Rough, I think, for physical if you want to, you know. It's still Klefki. Klefki does the same that is pretty much always done. Now, next up is another one I'm very excited about using, and that is Arboliva, which comes with breadsticks. And the reason why I have written it like this is because I'm gonna name this thing breadsticks, because even though I've never been to Olive Garden before, I have always heard they have really good breadsticks, and this is literally Olive Garden. You can't otherwise. But yeah, Arboliva is a grass normal type, which does matter a lot. That is the specific reason why I picked this thing up. I picked it up because it was a grass normal type, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the interesting thing about this is it has a new ability called Seed Sower. Now, what Seed Sower does is when this Pokemon is hit by an attack, the effect of Grassy Terrain begins. It essentially has Grassy Surge without having Grassy Surge, you get me? Like any hit, it doesn't matter if it's physical or special, Grassy Terrain starts. So it's a way to combo with our Sneasler, it's a way for this to heal up. This thing also gets access to both Lead Seed, Strength Sap, and Synthesis. And in a format where all heal moves got nerfed down to 5 PP, having multiple ways to heal is very, very good. This means it can out-heal a lot of other mons because we can just sit there. Now, the reason for the grass normal typing is because Last Respect is allowed in this league and Basque Legion was allowed. So that's a Swift Swim user or an adaptability user with Last Respect. And this thing walls both his stabs. I also checked, the only thing Bastion that can hit this is Ice Fang. That is the strongest move. Doesn't get any fighting moves, so this thing is very good against that thing. And it's also just a general very good speed def mon. Other than that, it has 78 HP with 109 special defense, so it's very bulky. Has 19 defense, so it's also decently bulky on the physical side. Has 125 special attack, which is very, very good. It reminds a little bit about Roselia, but with a slight, I don't know if it's a better typing, but it at least resists ground. And it does get access to one move the Roselia, not Roselia, Roserade, sorry, Roserade. It does get access to one move the Roserade doesn't, that is very important, and that is Earth Power. This thing gets Earth Power so we can touch Steel types. And there's only one flying Steel type in the entire game, and that is Corviknight. Skarmory and Celesteela are not in the game, even with Post Home. So yeah, very excited about using this. It also got access like the Dazzling Gleam if we need to use that for whatever reason. But yeah, very excited about this. It's a new mon, and we want to try out some of the new mods. Now next up is another mon I've actually never used before, but it's going to be very good in this format, I think, and that is Azumarill. So Azumarill is literally just going to carry the team. Like Water Fairy is very good in this format because a lot of the big threats are just weak to this thing, like Chi-Pao, Chi-Yu, Roaring Moon. Iron Valiant is weak to the fairy typing, I believe. So yeah, a lot of the really strong good mons are weak to this thing, and it can kind of like, it can't wall all of them necessarily, but it can do a lot of damage, or it can at least take a hit and deal damage back. And this thing is just like, it's another really good physical breaker to help Sneasler. We can run Band Aqua Jet on this thing. We can run potentially a Ability Drum set every now and then. We can also run like the Sap Sipper set if we are very scared of a grass type or something, and just run like a bulky Azumarill. So I feel like this is going to be very good, and it's going to really help the team a lot. Now, one thing it did lose knockoff, unfortunately. A lot of mons lost knockoff this gen, and this is one of them. I would have really liked if it had kept knockoff, because that would have given us a secondary knockoff user, primary knockoff user. We don't have a knockoff user right now. I think we have one on the entire team or something like that. So yeah, that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It still gets Aqua Jet, still gets Liquidation, still gets Superpower, still gets Play Rough, so still run all those moves. But yeah, very happy about picking up Azumarill as our mon here. And next up we have our Dragon, which is going to be Haxorus, which is just going to thrash through our opponents. So I picked up Haxorus because at the point that we were here at this pick, almost no dragon types were available. There was like this and like one or two other, and this was by far the best one. Like Guardian was taken, Dragapult was taken, Cyclostar was taken. Like a lot of the other good, like either strong or utility dragons were already taken. I took Haxorus because it's another sweeper. This is going to be most likely like a kind of hyper offensive meta. At least that's what people are saying it's going to be. So having Haxorus, which can just come in and click like a Choice Bandit move and just do so much damage, is very, very, very good. Also, this gets First Impression, which again, very good against Roaring Moon and Chi-Pao, two of the biggest threat in the format. But also just, this is another mon that my opponent has to prep for. If they don't prep for this, this will just automatically win. It did lose Scale Shot, but it still has Dragon Dance, it still has Sword Stance, so Scale Shot, a little bit annoying, but we can live with it. We don't need it on our Haxorus. Yeah, other than that, it's literally just Haxorus. Like, it's not the best defensive dragon type, which I would maybe have liked a little bit more bulky, like a Salamence-esque dragon type in this team, just because resisting those water and fire types would have been very good, because we do have a little bit of a weakness to those two typings throughout. But yeah, Haxorus, fine pick. Next up, we have Electros that electrifies the field, and when I went into this pick, I had a little bit of trouble figuring out what I wanted, because I could pick a fast electric type and then pick like a more bulky psychic type, which is another typing we were missing at this point. Or I could pick a bulky electric type and pick a faster psychic type, or I could bulk of both or speed of both. And I opted to go for Electros just because I wanted the flying resist first of all. We only had Klefki at this point, and while Klefki is fine, it is best to have another one that can like resist flying, because flying is a very good offensive typing. And this thing, while also losing knockoff, unfortunately, this does still have a very wide move pool, like Flamethrower, Giga Drain. I think it got Body Press in this generation, which is very weird. Also just access to, another Thunder Wave user. It can set up Light Screen, not Reflect, but Light Screen at least. It's access to Bulk Up, Coil for setup sets. And then it has Close Combat. I actually think that's believe that's new as well. So yeah, this thing it's kind of gonna do the same thing that it did last generation, just don't have knockoff, which I definitely do think it's a nerf, but I still think it's good because he still gets like U-turn and Volt Switch for pivot and whatnot. So it's just nice. It's gonna combo very well with our team, go in, take a hit, U-turn out so we can come into our threats. Very happy about Electros. Next up we have Espeon, which is gonna foresee the future, and as you can see here, this is our second Terra Captain. And this is the mon where I'm very happy Terra Blast is allowed. Because Espeon with Psychic, Shadow Ball, Coal Mine, Terra Blast, or Terra Blast, Coal Mine, however you want to say it, can pretty much hit everything in the game. It is very fast, it hits very hard with 130 special attack, 110 speed. Just very good. You can also use Terra, the terrestrializing as like a defensive mechanism. If you have a dark type against you, you go into a Terra fighting potentially. If you know your opponent has a very potent ghost type, you can do Terra normal. So there's different opportunities to different ways to do terrestrializing. If you want, you can do it defensively, you can do it offensively. I think offensively is slightly better, but I do see the merits of defensively as well. But yeah, Espeon, you know, it's, as I mentioned, it's gonna be kind of like just a better variant of Espeon from last gen. Like you're gonna run the same offensive move. You have access to. It did actually get access to Thunder Wave. I'm pretty sure that's new. It can Wish Pass if I really wanted to. I highly doubt I would. Get access to Yawn Trick, so we have another trick user, which is pretty nice. Doesn't really get too many moves. Like it has Grass Knot, I guess, for like water ground types. I think Gastrodon and Quagsire are both in the game, so there's that. But yeah, not too much to say. It's Espeon. It's just gonna be here, hit hard on the special side, you know. And lastly, we have Braviary, which I picked up because it has Defog. Originally, I actually did pick up Poltergeist in this slot, but I opted to trade it in Grace for Braviary. First of all, we didn't have a flying type. We do have a normal type, but we didn't have a flying type, and flying type is pretty good. And we didn't have any removal whatsoever. I picked up Braviary just to have the defog. That is literally the reason. Now, Braviary is still pretty good. It has base 80 speed with 123 attack and 100 HP, which makes it decently bulky, and it's a good choice scarf option in some scenarios. Access to Sheer Force as one of its better abilities, and with moves like what's it called, Cross Claw, which does get Sheer Force boosted, and Iron Head and whatnot. It can do a lot of damage, like Bandit or Choice Scarf or Bulk Up. I believe Bulk Up or its Home Claws maybe is a no, it is Bulk Up, and Home Claw. It gets both. Never mind. But yeah, I picked up Braviary because it's default, but it can still do some stuff offensively and kinda can still be defensive. It's not the greatest defensively, but it can in some instances. But yeah, that's our full draft. Here you can see it. So we have Sneasler, Tinglu, Volcarona, Klefki, Arboliva, Azumarill, Haxorus, Electros, Espeon, and Braviary. So yeah, this is gonna be our SDL Season 13 team. I'm overall pretty happy. I don't think, like, I know I said in the thumbnail and in the beginning that this is gonna be the strongest team ever. It's not. Okay, there's definitely some clear flaws in it. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. There's definitely some clear flaws in it, and there's some mons I would have liked to not pick and then picked up other mons if I could, but this is it. I'm overall pretty happy about it. It's the first draft of Generation 9, so you know, who says it has to be perfect? But yeah, as always, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment below with thought of the team, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. With that, I'm out. Peace, YouTube.